Most people think that the #1 exercise for seniors to master is the squat. However, I disagree. And I'm going to tell you why in this video, and then I'm going to show you what you should actually do instead of the squat. All right, so first I'm going to show you what to do, then I'm going to show you what not to do, and then we'll review the right way to do it one more time. All right, so the hip hinge, you want to start off with your feet shoulder width apart or a little bit wider, then you want to hinge from the hips as the arms come forward and then come back up. All right, so we'll break this down a little bit more detail, but I just want to give you an overview to start. What you don't want to do is come forward with the knees. All right, so you want to sit back like you're in a chair. So let's go into a little bit more detail so that you'll know exactly what to do. So the problem with the squat when people first start to try to exercise is that they usually do it incorrectly. Problem with the squat when people first start is that they actually start by leaning forward with the knees. All right, so see how all my weight's going right towards my knees. So that's gonna create potentially a lot of issues. All right, the other thing is when you squat, when you do come forward, you oftentimes round the back as well. All right, the hip hinge is such a great movement pattern that is really helpful to do in any situation where you have to bend down and pick something up off the floor, or when you have to pick someone up off the floor, such as kids, grandkids, and anything like that. And so it's really important that we get this pattern right before you start to do the squat. So if you do this pattern correctly, then you can move on to the squat, but not until you have mastered the hip hinge. So I know firsthand what can happen if you don't squat correctly. So when I was in college, I actually injured my back. I was in the weight room and I was lifting up weights. I was actually doing a deadlift with a barbell with a lot of weights on the sides. And I just tweaked my back the wrong way. I rounded my back and I leaned forward a little bit too much. And I felt all of a sudden this sharp pain that started in my back, went all the way down the back of my leg into my foot. So I was limping for weeks and I had pain for years. So I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to walk again without having pain. But luckily, I started to do the right movements and the right exercises, especially the one that I'm going to show you now. So start off by grabbing yourself a chair that doesn't have wheels, something that you can hold on to just in case. You can hold on to the wall or you can hold on to a friend. But just have something close by, or actually having a couch right behind you is a good thing too, in case you have to sit down all of a sudden or if you lose your balance. All right, so I'm just gonna grab a chair here, and then that way, if I need to, I can just have a seat. But I'm gonna put it off to the side just so I can show you the movement. All right, so the first thing you wanna do is you want to spread your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Now whenever you're squatting or doing the hip hinge, the wider your base is, then usually the better to a certain degree. All right, but you want it to be wide enough so that your knees don't come together. All right, that's where you start to get issues with the knees, and then that makes you actually have to round the back. All right, so now I'm going to show you the side view because the key to the hip hinge is to send the hips back. All right, so we'll start off once again with the feet shoulder width apart, a little bit wider, and then just begin to hinge from the hips, sending the hips back. All right, you can hold the arms up for balance if you like to, but notice how you don't have to go very far. We're really just starting to groove the new pattern. All right, so once again, most people come forward. We don't want to do that. Instead, you want to sit back, like you're going to sit in a chair. Now, in order to do that, you also have to let your chest come forward. All right, because if you don't, then you'll just kind of fall back. All right, so instead, what you want to do is sit back, chest comes forward, so you're hinging right at the hips. All right, and once again, you don't have to come down very far. All right, and you want to do about 5 or 10 of those, and then just see how it feels. All right, and then so if it feels okay, then you can do even more, but I wouldn't recommend doing more than 3 sets of 10 to start off, just to see how it is, and then see how you do tomorrow. And if it feels okay, you can go ahead and just do that again the next day. So even if you only do 10 repetitions and that's it, then you're gonna really start to train this new pattern. All right, the hip hinge is really important because then when you go to squat, you'll already have the pattern down and you'll be doing it correctly. All right, so that way when you do go to squat, you'll start off with the hip hinge and then you can go down further after that. But if you don't do the hip hinge first, then you go to the knees, you round the back, and then you just kind of have to round even more. And it really puts a lot of stress on the knees and the back. All right, and so we'll continue to do a few more just so that you can get the movement down. So if it feels okay, sitting back into the hip hinge and then coming up. And then what you can do for once you feel like you've got it, you can start to engage the muscles even more. All right, so then as you come up, start to squeeze the front of the thighs. So like you're hugging the muscles, and then relax. So squeeze the thigh muscles as you come up, and then relax. So you can make this a really good strengthening exercise for the thighs or the quadriceps. All right, and then for even more points, you can squeeze the butt muscles as you come up and then release. So everything relaxes and then release. All right, so now I want to talk about the breathing as well. So normally we breathe on the exhale comes for the exertion. All right, so as we're coming down, we breathe in, and then as we come up, we breathe out. All right, or you can breathe normal, but if you want to synchronize the breath with the movements, breathing in, and then as you're pushing up, breathing out. All right, as long as you're breathing, that's my only rule. So, all right. All right, so that is the hip hinge. So start off with that, even just doing it one set of 10 every day. You can do a little bit more if it's pretty easy, but really it's important to do it every day for at least a few weeks. All right, and that way you'll really start to make it automatic. So as a bonus, I'm going to show you how to weave this movement pattern into your Tai Chi flow. So we'll do a movement called opening the flow. It's very similar to opening the door, but we're going to move the hips back a little bit more than we do with that movement. All right, so once again, stand with the feet like you would for the hip hinge. All right, and then you can start with the hands down by the sides. Okay, and then as you breathe in, the arms float up, the hips float back. And as you breathe out, the arms float down as the hips come forward. So breathing in, like mist rising from the lake. Breathing out, fingertips floating down like a soft rain. And we'll continue to do opening the flow. Feeling this mindful movement, coming into the present moment, letting go of the worries from the day. You can do this as a standalone movement practice. Whenever you're feeling stressed out or anxious, a way to calm the mind and really create relaxation and inner peace. All right, let's do one more. Opening the flow. So now you know how to do the hip hinge, which is the most important exercise for seniors to master, especially before you start to do the squat. So this is going to be helpful in your daily life, doing recreational activities, doing Tai Chi, yoga, whatever it is that you really love to do. This is going to help you stay active and stay healthy and happy. And so make sure you let me know if this was helpful in the comments below. And then if you did like the video, then please click the like button. And then also you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below the video along with the notification bell. And that way you'll get notified each week when I post a new video to help you create strength, flexibility, and balance of body and mind.